Welcome back to Healing is a Messy Bitch. I'm Amy Wilhelmy, and we're talking about the next frontier, neurotech, AI, and psychedelics in relational care. Today, we're stepping into the future a little bit, not in a flying cars and robot therapists kind of a way. Although, if robot therapists do show up, I would like them to do my case notes. But seriously, mental health is changing rapidly right now. In the last decade, we've seen several really fascinating developments happening at the same time. Advances in neuroscience, growing research on psychedelic-assisted therapies, and new tools like neurofeedback, and the emergence of artificial intelligence in mental health, all of these innovations are shaping what therapy might look like in the coming years. And naturally, whenever new technologies enter a field that is traditionally very human-centered, people start asking some big questions. Questions like, will technology make therapy better? Will AI replace therapists? Will mental health care become more accessible or more complicated? And more importantly, what role will human relationships continue to play in healing? So today we're going to explore some of those questions. One of the most important developments in modern mental health care is the growing influence of neuroscience. For a long time, psychotherapy and neuroscience developed somewhat separately. Therapists focus on thoughts, emotions, and relationships. Neuroscientists focus on neurons, brain structures, and electrical activity. But over the past few decades, those two worlds have started to overlap. And what we've learned is something really important. Psychological experiences and brain processes are deeply connected. When someone experiences trauma, their brain changes. We know this. When someone learns emotional regulation skills, their brain changes. When someone experiences a safe relationship, their brain changes. The brain is constantly adapting. And that brings us to one of the most important concepts in modern neuroscience. Neuroplasticity is the concept that we are talking about today. Neuroplasticity refers to the brain's ability to form new neural connections, and for a long time, scientists believed that the brain was mostly fixed after childhood. But research now shows that the brain can change throughout life. New experiences create new neural pathways, and therapy itself can actually reshape patterns in the brain. When people learn emotional regulation skills, their prefrontal cortex becomes more active. When trauma is processed, the nervous system becomes less reactive to threat cues. When people experience secure relationships, the brain's attachment systems strengthen. So therapy is not just about talking about problems. It's literally changing how the brain functions. Neurofeedback is one technology that has emerged from neuroscience research, and it involves monitoring brain activity and giving people real-time feedback about their neural patterns. This is typically done using something called an EEG, which is one of those words that reminds you of why scientists invented acronyms. EEG sensors detect electrical activity in the brain, and neurofeedback systems then translate that activity into visual or auditory signals. For example, somebody might watch a screen where a graphic responds to their brain activity. As the person learns to regulate their focus or relaxation, the feedback changes. And over time, this process can help individuals strengthen neural patterns. This is associated with emotional regulation. Some studies suggest that neurofeedback may help with ADHD, anxiety, PTSD, sleep difficulties, and it's not a magic solution, but it is fascinating. It's an example of how technology and therapy can intersect. Another major development in mental health care involves psychedelic-assisted therapies. These include treatments involving substances like psilocybin, MDMA, ketamine. These treatments are being studied for conditions such as treatment-resistant depression, PTSD, addiction, end-of-life anxiety, and one reason these substances are receiving attention is their potential to increase neuroplasticity. During psychedelic experiences, certain brain networks become more flexible. This flexibility may allow individuals to revisit emotional experiences from new perspectives. When these sessions are combined with psychotherapy, especially preparation and integration, the insights gained during altered states can support them long term. Psychological change happens. But psychedelic therapy is not simply about substance. It's about the therapeutic container surrounding the experience. Preparation, safety, integration, and the therapeutic relationship. And without those elements, the treatment really loses much of its healing potential. That's why we have ketamine-assisted psychotherapy. Now let's talk about the big topic that everyone is curious about now. Artificial intelligence. AI is already beginning to appear in mental health settings, and some platforms use AI to provide mental health education, offer guided coping exercises, analyze patterns in therapy, and conversations help clinicians organize treatment notes. AI can process large amounts of information very quickly. It can identify patterns in language. It can generate suggestions based on research data, and all these tools may expand access to mental health resources, especially for people who live in areas where therapists are difficult to access. But there is an important limitation. AI can stimulate the conversation, but it cannot replicate human presence. Decades of psychotherapy research consistently show that one of the strongest predictors of therapy outcomes is something called the therapeutic alliance. The therapeutic alliance refers to the emotional relationship between the therapist and the client. When clients feel understood, respected, and emotionally safe with their therapist, therapy tends to be more effective. That relational bond helps regulate the nervous system. It helps people feel less alone with their experiences, and it creates the emotional safety necessary for vulnerability and growth. This is something that technology, no matter how advanced, may never fully replicate. Because human relationships involve subtle emotional cues, tone of voice, facial expressions, empathy, shared presence, and these elements are difficult to reproduce through algorithms. So where does that leave us? Technology will likely continue playing a growing role in mental health care. Digital tools may help people learn coping skills. Neurofeedback may support nervous system regulation. AI may assist clinicians with research and documentation, but these tools are the most powerful when they support human care, not replace it. The future of therapy will probably involve a combination of scientific research, technological innovation, and deeply human relationships. Mental health care is evolving, and that evolution brings both opportunities and responsibilities. New technologies can expand access to care. They can help us understand the brain more clearly. They can support new treatment approaches. But the heart of therapy remains something very old and very human. Two people sitting together, talking honestly about what it means to suffer, to grow, and to heal. Next time, we're going to be talking about something that is incredibly important, but not always discussed openly. And that is clinician burnout, because therapists spend a lot of time supporting other people's emotional experiences. And doing that work sustainably requires its own kind of care and awareness. So next week, we'll talk about how therapists stay grounded, resilient, and connected while doing this work. And honestly, that conversation might be helpful for everyone, not just clinicians. I'll see you then.